Pack Reacts is back, baby. Let's go. It's training camp season. Let's keep it going. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pack Reacts. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Hadler, along with Mike. And today we talk about Packers training camp. It's good to be back, folks. It is good to be back here on the live stream as we get into this football season coming up soon. Let's go. We get it. All right.
It is good to be back. And real quick, I see you changed your intro over here. Now we're on the screen the whole time. We get no, what do you call it, reprieve from the audience.
Yeah. I figured that out right before we went on. I figured out, I'm like, oh, I can add to this and not have to pay for anything. So I'm like, oh, I'll do that. Boom.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So nice. I figure that's a good theme song for us now.
Yeah, it's a good song. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the first topic we shall have. What are we looking forward to in training camp?
Well, before we get into that, do you want to talk about kind of our hiatus over here and coming back into swing of things, or just kind of what we've been up to before we get into that? I don't know if anyone cares on the audience, but
sure, we can get to that. You can start it out.
All right. So, yeah, what was the last show? It was in April, right? Right around the draft time. Maybe there was one after that. I forget.
I think we had one after that. I think it was after the draft. I think we had in May, but that was about it.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of like a one-off. Yeah. But, there was some slow time. So I think we probably took some time to get up to speed and things. But now I think we're trying to ramp up going into the season with training camp. So, hopefully we can try to dive into it some more. Really, there's a lot more news on the horizon, which is good because there were some interesting news stories the past few weeks. Like, do you see the Sam Darnold one?
Yep. That.
I kind of wish we had a show for that. That would be interesting to talk about. But let other people talk about that one. Maybe later on in the show, or one of the audience members can ask a question about that. That'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
but it doesn't necessarily discuss matter for the Packers. So, what about you, Jeremy? What have you been up to?
I've just been working down the shore on the beach pool area, just lifeguarding all summer so far. Just been doing that and working on some videos like my NFC, AFC predictions, and just worked on my baseball one and should be doing my playoff one soon.
Oh, yeah, are you in Delaware right now?
Yeah, I'm in Delaware right now.
Nice, yeah. I don't think we're making it down this year, unfortunately. So maybe next year, we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
But if still didn't want to go to the what do you call it, the Redskins game, or the Commanders game,
I might be. I might be down for that. I might be down for that.
We gotta look into it. Yeah. But okay. So the topic again. What was the topic about training camp? What are we looking forward to?
Yes. What are we looking forward to in training camp?
You want me to start off?
Yeah, you can start it off.
Well, first, I guess on an operational note, obviously neither Jeremy and I are in Green Bay. I'm from New York. Jeremy's from Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania, right outside Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
But you're in, your summer house right now.
Yeah.
So obviously, no one's going to come to the show, if anyone comes to the show at all, for our training camp insights firsthand because we're not there. So we're not getting much more insight than you guys are on that. But what you should be looking at, if you guys don't follow him already, is Andy Herman.
Yep.
And Aaron Nagler are at camp every day. I don't know if I think Herman is probably in the what do you call it, like the LaFleur's press conferences and stuff in the locker room. I think he has a press. Both of them do. So definitely keep an eye up on them. Like all the other beat writers who are going to give you more up to date information. That's who I've been following. So it's been interesting to see who's had success so far. We had a lot of injuries right now, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Sammy Watkins isn't, playing at the moment.
Yep.
Christian Watson obviously is on PUP, but it's day-to-day is what I heard. And then obviously, the elephant in the room, which is David Bakhtiari, which isn't a surprise to anyone, I would hope. But, it sounds like he is maybe feeling. He said he was feeling the best he's ever had since the injury, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's good news.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I mean, obviously, it's taken way too long at this point, and it was
Yes.
apparently much more than an ACL. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to play out. There's obviously a lot of positive notes too. I'll save that. I'll let you go next because I've been talking for a little bit. But there's a lot of positive notes I want to add too. So I don't want to leave it at negative. So
I'm
go
just
ahead.
look Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the offensive line of how it's gonna be shaped, like, without David Bakhtiari, because I don't think David's gonna be back, week 1, nor is Elton Jenkins. I wanna see how the left side of that offense line figures it out by you had Zach Tom, I heard today, he was trying out position. John Runyon, he was doing guard. Myers, he was getting back. He felt great coming back from the rehab from his surgery. I just want to see how is this offensive line going to shape out because we have one of the best offensive line coaches, and I want to see how this keeps progressing. And once we have Elton and David back, this offensive line is going to be one of the best. I'm looking very forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to I want to look at the wide receivers of like see who's going to retire. Like despite like the injuries with Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, I want to see like Romeo Dubs come out because he's been on fire the past 2 days. I want to see like somebody come out of there just like win it. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think those are the two main points that you hit on, actually. I talked about the injuries, but you talked about the offensive line and the receiver core.
Mm-hmm.
You said that we have the best offensive line coach, and that's right, we do. He's
Yeah.
actually not the offensive line coach though anymore. He's the offensive coordinator, right? So
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting though, because how does that transition? That is a big jump to go from
yes.
coaching the offensive line to coaching on the whole offense, and he's going to take his time away from the offensive line room. Obviously, Luke Buckus has taken that step up. He was the assistant coach, and now is the offensive line coach. So, it's going to be a big task because you have a lot of young offensive linemen. I mean, did you see what the number one, and now Matt LaFleur keeps saying, don't look at the, necessarily the lineups at this point, who's running with the runs at this stage in the game. And I agree. Obviously, Elgin Jenkins is going to come back eventually. David Bakhtiari hopefully comes back maybe week 1. We'll see. But I mean, that was pretty scary seeing who's running there. I mean, you had, Yash at left tackle, right, which makes sense.
Yes.
Then you have Runyon at left guard, makes sense.
Mhm.
That's probably going to Myers center, that makes sense.
Yep.
And you got Josh Hansen at
Yes.
right guard, which I don't know. I mean, it scares me a bit. Obviously, like apparently he's been playing well in practice and has developed from what Matt LaFleur said. So that's good. I mean, obviously, he was a draft pick. You want him to what do you call it? Develop. So I'm definitely glad to hear that. But for him to be your starting right guard day one probably means something went wrong somewhere, right? So
Yes.
if David Bakhtiari comes back, he's probably not in that position. Granted, though, Yash Nijman would probably go to right tackle because the right tackle was Royce Newman, right? He moved over to right tackle. So I think ideally what you'd have day one is probably Bakhtiari, Runyon, Myers, Newman, and then
Jenkins if he comes. Yeah.
Well, Jenkins is not going to be ready week 1. I don't think that's possible. But yeah, ultimately, right? Unless you somehow put Jenkins back to left guard, but I don't think they do that. I think they move him to right tackle and keep him at right tackle at this point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Especially like with like the Billy Turner like release that like put it kind of a little damage. I don't want to say like a huge damage, but it's a little damage of like putting a hole when he could be filling that position. We wouldn't have to worry about less. But this is just going to be an interesting story to see who's going to be filling the holes and being the next man up of filling the shoes of Jenkins and Bakhtiari is going to be my question.
Yeah, and I think it's a clean break, right? Where he's coming back from an injury, so it's not like he was playing left guard last game and now has to switch to right tackle. Like he's just going back and now he's probably going to switch to right tackle and stay there. So I think it makes most sense to move Elgin Jenkins when he comes back to right tackle then, and that kind of be your lineup. But obviously, with injuries, which is going to happen, especially on the offensive line, it always happens. We don't have much depth there, and it is a scary part of our team. Because offensive line is so important to the run game, to the whole offense, to the protection of Rodgers. So it's something that, I definitely have my eye on, and hopefully, we've always had success, building up young guys and mixed matching on the offensive line. But, it definitely is a weakness that I see on the team right now.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then the receivers, you mentioned Romeo Dubs, and you could go back to our last episodes, right?
Yeah.
I said I really liked Romeo Dubs when we drafted him. Just watching him, there's a few highlights I saw, and I'm just looking at the highlights again on YouTube. I'm not, sifting there through his University of Nevada tape. I just don't have access to that material or the time or effort. So who knows? Maybe I'm missing something. But from the highlights I saw, this guy had all the cornerbacks running after him. And Nagler said something today on his extra cheese. He ran. I mean, I've heard this other place, but I just reminded me today is like if the cornerback is looking at the receiver and has his back to the quarterback, you know he's open, right? Because he got by him, and now the cornerback's trying to catch up with him. You ever watch Alexander? The reason why he's always got coverage on him is because he's in control. He's right there, and if you throw to him, he's going to either pick it off, knock it down, but he's not, trying to get back in control. And if you're trying to get back into the play, that's when you can get taken advantage of. But in college, I mean, granted, he wasn't playing in, the SEC or the Big Ten, but, it seemed like in a lot of these plays, the cornerback had his back to the quarterback and trying to catch up to Dub. So this guy, I think, looks really good. And I'm glad in the first 2 days, obviously it's 2 days of camp. It's still early to tell, but, and there's no pads on at the moment, but signs are good. And what else can you ask for at this point? So we're only 2 days in. We'll see what goes. But I do have high hopes for Romeo, and hopefully he lives up to it because, Watson, I don't have any concerns with him long term. I think he's going to come around, but it might just take a little bit longer because his injury. And I think he probably has a higher ceiling in the long run.
Yes.
Just might take some more time. I think Dubs is probably ready more day one. We'll kind of see. But I think he has a chance week one to be more in the rotation than Watson does.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty excited about him. And I think if there's one rookie receiver you might want to pick up in fantasy or on a dynasty league, I'm in dynasty, is hopefully no one in my league's watching this. I doubt they are, but I think it's going to be Romeo Dubs because I think he's going to, especially this year, right? Because rookies, if you're going to draft for this year and it's not a dynasty league, you want him to have production. I think he could have a lot of production this year because who's our receiver core right now? Lazard, who I think is going to have a step-up year, but, he's still – there's no Rodgers is having real big devotion to him like he did to Adams, where he got all the, targets last year.
Yep.
And then after that, you go to Cobb, who's probably not going to have as big a role as everyone would hope he would. And, Amari Rodgers might take a step. But really, it's, Sammy Watkins if he's healthy, Watson if he's healthy, and then Dubs. And the only one who's healthy right now is Romeo. So we'll see. So I think he's going to have an integral role in this offense. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely with Romeo because I also see him in like the special teams. So I want to see him like play like kick returner or punt returner because I think he has that speed and does a lot better than Amari Rodgers because I don't trust him, especially after last year watching that postseason. I didn't trust him. And I'm preferring like Dubs can get us more yards and not like fumble the ball and negative like yards back. But the thing I'm also looking for Romeo Dubs is consistency, as Matt LaFleur talked about earlier. Training camp is looking for those hands. If he can catch with the hands, then he's going to be like a better MVS is what they were kind of projecting at.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, that's number one receiver. What's your job as a receiver? To catch the ball, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like yards after catch are great. But how many times is like MVS, got way past somebody and didn't catch the ball, You got to catch the ball. And something that, Nagler was giving an example of a play today where did you hear about this or I'll explain it to you?
No, I didn't hear about that one.
I'll explain it either way. But apparently, there's a really good play in practice today where it was at the back of the end zone. I think Rodgers kind of threw up the ball, and Stokes was covering Dubs. And you saw this? You heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, right. And then Dubs kind of jumped up for it and kind of took it out of Stokes' hands or something.
I think it was. Did he Moss him? Was it or no?
Yeah, he said something. It looked like Randy Moss making the play. Yeah, he said that. So no, I mean it's definitely like I said, everything is very exciting. Hopefully next week we'll say the same exact thing because then you have a
Yep.
week of practice now, and then not just 2 days. So I know it's not a ton of sample size, but I'm pretty excited about Dubs. And I think if there's one, it was the title of Extra Cheese today. But I think it should be the title of every podcast is "Let's go," Dubs. Like pretty excited, let's get some Dubs with Dubs as a receiver.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
no, I'm pretty excited about him. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. As if you can't tell already.
Mhm. All right, let's get into a new topic, which this man, the two-time MVP, shows up to training camp trying to look like Con Air Nicolas Cage, apparently, when he walks in. What's your thought on that?
My thought is I'm pretty disappointed in myself for not making a meme out of it. Probably let other people get to that one, but no, it was pretty funny. Showing up in a white A shirt. I don't think I watched that movie, but obviously I know Nicolas Cage. So, yeah, it was definitely pretty funny. I think what most stood out to me was kind of like the difference in narrative between this training camp and last year's training camp,
Yeah.
where last year was kind of very awkward, like we were all on the same page here, and this year is kind of like walking in and like, okay, cool, like we can make jokes, we can have fun. Rogers
Yeah.
wants to be here. They had the soccer game.
Yeah.
He was there, so like there was none of that this year. So it was just kind of a different mentality and different vibe around the stadium. That's really what stood out to me. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a media you know thing to get on Instagram. Like it doesn't mean anything, but what it does kind of mean something is the vibe and just kind of the camaraderie and happiness Rodgers seems to have being Green Bay that he didn't have last year. So at the
Mhm.
beginning, right? Or it wasn't a completely prevalent to everyone.
Mhm.
So yeah, good to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a fun thing.
I mean, when I was looking at it, everyone, when I kept reading the comments, like, is this a methodical, like, kind of things? Like, is this like he got more muscle? He's ready to win the Super Bowl. Like they were trying to study of like Nicolas Cage's character comparing to Aaron Rodgers, like what this dude's about. It's like they thought this was some sense, like he was telling like how I think it was Devontae and Rodgers posted last year, The Last Dance with like a Sky Pitt and Michael Jordan. Like people were thinking that. I was like, okay, people, just deal with how it is. Like you can make whatever your comments was, but it's like it's fun to watch him like just come out there, but like I just don't see really any like methodical, like it doesn't look like anything to me for really. It's just like he's just showing it for fun.
Yeah, I would think it was just for fun, but about
Yeah,
the way he looks too, right?
yeah,
Maybe I missed this when I first was talking. He looks pretty good. I mean, he
he
looks like he's
does.
pretty in shape. Probably better shape than he was last year. I don't know, maybe just because he's wearing an H shirt, we don't really see kind of, but he definitely looks like he's been working out pretty well. So
Yeah,
hopefully, I don't know what he was doing in the off season, but it
I
seems
mean, he
like he's
does
in pretty good
tattoo.
shape.
He does
I
tattoo
did
though.
see that. I did see that. Not that
Yeah,
that's going to help him play football, but his what do you call it? His body looks, at least his arms
yeah,
look in pretty good shape. So hopefully,
yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know how much better he can get coming off of 2 MVP seasons, but it seems better in better shape than he did last year. Not that he was in bad shape last year. Just what just stood out to me, right? So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
So
mean, he might get his third MVP is the hope. That's what we're hoping for. 3 MVPs to be tied with
back to
Peyton
back.
Manning.
You mean back to back? Well, he already has 3, right?
Well, he has four. He has four. He had
4, right?
2011, 2014, and the last 2 seasons. So he
Okay.
could be back to
I mean,
back
it's
to be
more
back. Yeah.
right. So it'd be 3 consecutive, is what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that could be happening. All right. Let's get into the biggest surprise. Oh, hold on. Big surprise so far in camp, which we already talked about Romeo Dubs. I'm just, for me, I want to say is probably like going back to the offensive lines. I want to say again, is like seeing new guys take the line and like be adjusting to that is what I like to see out of it. But yeah, that's been the biggest kind of surprise to me. I've like seeing who's like being the new guy who like they trying out like Hanson. We already mentioned is like moving him to different spots. Zach Tom, I've been mentioning like there have been kind of different guys, and I'm really intrigued by this offensive line. As I've been mentioned before, this is what I'm looking forward to. Really,
Right. So mine, it's actually not really a Packers thing at all. It's you see these Guardian caps these guys are wearing, like the tight
yeah,
ends, the linemen. I think it's that. It's pretty interesting what they're wearing. I mean, I'm all for it. Like safety is number one priority. You definitely don't want to get
yeah,
somebody get concussions or hurt in in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you don't want to get hurt at all, but you definitely don't want to get hurt in practice. Like if you're going to get hurt, it's going to be like Charles Woodson going down right when you're about to win the Super Bowl. If I'm a football player, I'd rather go out and get hurt that way than get hurt in camp before the season like Jordy Nelson.
Exactly.
So obviously you never want to get hurt as a player, but I'm just saying like if there's a way to get hurt, you want to do that way. But I just look kind of funny. I don't know if you see what they're just wearing, like it almost looks like Toad in like the Mario series.
Yes,
rock in his or mushroom. That's what it looks like. He's got a mushroom on there. But I don't know. It's just kind of a funny thing. It looks funny, but you get used to it, and it was just a surprise. I didn't notice that they passed that rule. I guess that's the only rule change they passed, other than the overtime one for the playoffs. So you have to have each team has to have possession because of that Mahomes, Josh Allen game last year, which I'm still not 100% sure I'm okay with that. I think it's kind of a stupid thing. Like, I don't know. Even though it probably would have helped us in a few games with like Seattle and going to the Super Bowl and Arizona when we lost that game. But I'm not. We're not talking about that rule though. I'm not going to go on that tangent. But I don't know. Those Guardian caps just look kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just like it's required right now on like a temporary basis to see if the statistics actually show any help in like concussions and head injuries. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I hope it works, and I hope it stays around, because that just means that players are being healthy and staying healthy. And one, you don't have people missing time in football, but two, they're not getting chronic concussions and have better chance for CT, which obviously no one wants. So it's interesting. Again, it looks funny. It gets some used to, but over time it'll just be something else. And if it works, then I'm happy for it. But that's just the biggest surprise. I didn't know that was coming. So to see pictures like that, like it was just interesting.
Yeah, I know. Like you were mentioning about like the safety of the injuries. Like we've already had, not on the Packers wise, but we already had like injuries. But like big news that I saw out today was like Ryan Jensen, the Buccaneers interior offensive lineman. He got hurt, and that like kind of like shuffles the Bucs offense a lot, apparently, when I didn't even realize like it was a huge, like I know he's a great player, but that like kind of changes the whole offense apparently now of like the line. So that's gonna be kind of interesting to see how Brady deals with that too.
Yeah, no, I heard about that, and it's definitely unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that for Ryan. Hopefully it's nothing major.
Yeah.
It didn't sound good though. I didn't see it obviously, but apparently even like the preliminary findings before the MRI didn't sound good. So that sucks. Just kind of shows that, these kind of ACL, I mean, I don't want to say it's an ACL, I don't know, but these knee injuries, it definitely is knee injuries, what they said. It's kind of very freak. You saw with David Bakhtiari, Elgin Jenkins, even though that wasn't as freak, it was during the game. And I think he got rolled up on, right? Or maybe not. Maybe it was.
I think it was
might have been non-contact.
Yeah,
might have been non-contact.
I think it was non-contact. Yeah.
I think he was going out to protect Rodgers. He was playing left tackle at the time, right? Because Bakhtiari wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And I remember his knee just buckling under him. But it seems like most of these injuries are non-contact. So I'm not sure what happened with Ryan Jensen. He's obviously, very integral to that offense.
Yeah.
Might help the Packers a little bit, but obviously you don't want anyone to get hurt. So I'm definitely sorry to hear that for him.
Same here.
But yeah, I don't feel too bad for Brady. I hope he has a lot of pressure for him, but no, I definitely feel bad for Ryan and for the Buccaneers fans. Although I don't feel bad for the Buccaneers fans, but definitely for him personally. So
yeah, same here. Now going towards the Buccaneers, the Packers missed out on Julio Jones, and apparently Julio Jones is getting a lot of reps with this Brady offense to replace Chris Godwin for temporary, kind of be like the Antonio Brown. That's what they were trying to go for. Do you think that the Packers should have gotten him? And if yes, why so?
So I was watching some. I don't really use TikTok, but I use Instagram Reels sometimes. It's basically Instagram's knockoff for TikTok. And I was, how like they have like voiceovers like songovers or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was this like YouTube guy. I guess he still posts sometimes, but he posts now. He like pretends to be like this funny guy, and he goes around getting people's reactions. He's like, "Will you look at that? Will you look at this?" I don't know if you ever heard of this. It might have been like a few years ago. Like maybe you weren't really on the internet at that time, but my age is probably showing. But they put his like say like, would you look at this? Would you look at like on like the Instagram reel? So it like spurred my memory of this guy. So I look back on YouTube. I forget his name now. I was just watching it today. But anyway, and the other thing he was doing, I've never seen these videos before. I was watching it today. He goes into like a car dealership and starts asking questions to like the salesman and starts saying, that sucks. You know, like just like blowing everything off. The guy says like, I don't want this. Like, so about Julio Jones, that's what I have to say to him. That's the point of my story is I don't really care. You know, like it doesn't matter to me. Like Julio Jones, if this was when he was younger, I would be like doing dances. I think Julio Jones is done. And you can probably play this and throw it in my face if I'm wrong, but I've been saying that for a few years when he went to Tennessee. And I don't know. I just think he's done. Sorry to say, he's just had too many injuries where it doesn't seem like he can come back from it. I think he's, a really good receiver when he was healthy, but I think he's just past his prime. I just don't think enough money. Forget about the money. Just like the roster spot is it could go to somebody like, like I don't know, just one of these younger guys that might have some more potential than someone who is probably going to get hurt, and even if he is going to play, he's not going to be what we thought he was. So it's a big name, but is he really going to produce now? His production back in Atlanta when they went to the Super Bowl wasn't helping you now. It's what are you going to get at this moment? Exactly. I just don't think it's going to be it, but who knows? Maybe Brady revives his career and he doesn't get hurt, and I'm eating my words. I'm not really sure, but I didn't look at the contract. Maybe do you have that information?
I think I do. It was, I believe, $8 million, if I'm correct about the deal.
1 year deal for $8 million.
I think it was a 1 year deal. It was the difference because the Packers were trying to offer about it. It was it was like more the guarantee money because he got more offer than like what the Packers were trying to give him is what the problem was in the scenario. That's why they didn't want to like give him like it like the Colts did some training. It was apparently it's $6 million for the 2022 season with a maximum of $8 million based on incentives.
Yeah, I'm good. Like the only way I would have done it was like basically a vet minimum with incentives. That's not a vet minimum incentives. That's vet minimum with incentives would have got you to 6, not to start out at 6, and with the possibility to get to 8. So no, I'm just not that interested in it. If it was Antonio Brown, maybe, even though obviously he's just a loose cannon anyway, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But in terms of his production, that's worth the 6 to 8 million, right? Just looking at production, I want to stop myself there. Probably people would give me a hard time by saying Antonio Brown, but he definitely played well in the Buccaneers. No one could put that against him.
Yeah.
Right. Before he blew up in New York, which was. But I just don't think Julio Jones is going to give you that production at this point.
Yeah. I mean, at first I won him, and then I just keep looking at his history of his injuries. I'm like, it's going to catch up to him. He's past his prime. He had the production, but when you look at Tennessee, he didn't really connect with out there. Despite like A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, he just didn't have production. And like every year, like since I think it was right before I think maybe after the Super Bowl or like a year afterwards, his production started to decline. And you just keep seeing with more injuries, him declining, playing less games. I'm like, yeah, it's not really worth it. And then with the money, I'm like, I'm not risking $6 million because I could spend that more on like a trade if I wanted to, like in the season, maybe go after Odell Beckham Jr. if he returns like next year by playoffs. Like, I'd rather spend my money on Odell than Julio. I don't think Julio's the answer for the Packers. Like, yeah, it would have been a nice addition, but I don't think he was the right answer. I think he's washed up a bit.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. If you're going to get a receiver at this point, it would be Odell when he comes back from his injury, if he can play. But like, he would be a great kind of shot in the arm, making a playoff run.
Yes.
I don't even know if it's kind of going back to the conversation, last year, which we weren't doing the podcast at that point. But
yeah,
I don't think so. But no, we definitely did because we started after any games were played. But what was going through my head at that point was, I would love to have him, but it seemed like he didn't really want to go to Green Bay. We had Davante Adams at that time. Apparently, he was in contact with Davante Adams. That's why I thought it might have been possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, we still have Rodgers, so maybe that could entice him. But I would think he just goes back to the Rams, if anything, Odell. He probably doesn't stay on a team till he gets, almost ready to come back, then
Yeah.
somebody will sign him, and he probably going to go back to the Rams. If you had asked me to put my money on it, is what's going to happen. But I'd be interested $6 to $8 million for OBJ, even just for the playoff run.
Yeah, have to do it.
I don't know how you'd structure that. I guess would you give him $6 million for the entire year? I don't know.
I think you could.
You might have to prorate it, right?
I would want to probably say like 5.5 million of like start off the base, and then you go with the rest of incentives, and like he could like be like get this many yards, get like this many TDs, win the Super Bowl. Like I think you could work out like usually Packer contracts when they do the extension, they usually like after the next year they reduce it or like the extension, but like they work out with incentives, and that's how Packers have proven to do a lot better for players is keeping the right guys, keeping like the right levels by doing a lot of incentives. And I think there could be a deal that works out for Odell, but I think I think that kind of contract that Julio was offered, I think the Packers could make something out of it, but you would probably have to go like 7 million or like 7.5. I don't think they could go up to 8 just based on the cap space, even though like the top 15 in the league right now. I just don't think they want to waste unless they want to waste all of that cap space on Odell if they have all the rest by the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm just saying because it would be in like, I'm thinking like week 13, week to 15 that you would give him this offer. So you're going to give him like $8 million for, 3 weeks in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work, but obviously, because last year's a little bit different, right? Because he had a contract with the Browns that they were assuming. So I think they only paid the portion of the contract that he was on their team, right? The Rams.
Yes.
The Browns pay the other half. This time you'd be signing him in the middle of the year. So I don't think you'd give him a full $7 million for a few games. I'm not sure, but it's actually interesting. I should look into that. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge if we get to it. So I think kind of what we have at receiver right now is what you're going to get. I think they signed a receiver today, but I don't think he's going to make the team or be a groundbreaker.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of like a fourth receiver in another team that got released. I'm not 100% sure. I just saw his name. But, right now, if you want to predict our receiver core right now?
Sure. Were we doing 5 or are we doing 6 guys?
It's up to you.
I'll go 6 for why not? All right. I'll go Allen Lazard number 1. Number 2, if he's healthy, which he should be and has no issues, Christian Watson, I want to go that high. 3rd, I want to go Cobb because I think he's not going to get the production, but I think Rodgers wants to give him a lot of production. I think he can. 4th would be Sammy Watkins. I still think he'll be a part of this, but I would put him at 3rd. But 4th is just because of the lack of production, how much injury and how much he's not going to get the chemistry of Rodgers. That's why I put him at 4. 5th, I put Romeo Doubs because I think he's going to do great. 6, I probably want to go with Amari Rodgers just because of what he could have. My sleeper, though, I want to say Winfrey. I think Winfrey can pull something out maybe because he did show like a little flash of, I think today or yesterday. But I think those guys, that's how it's going to be. But really, I think the Packers are going to use them when they have to, but they're going to really utilize on that run game for the offense.
Yeah, I think obviously Lazard, obviously Cobb. Then I think the rest of them, obviously there's other players, but I think you might have one player start on PUP.
Yeah.
I don't think Christian Watson is going to start on PUP. Let's say he's on the active roster.
Yeah.
Maybe Sammy Watkins, depending on the extension of his injury. I don't know. But if they do start on PUP, it's going to be 7 weeks, right? So that's really not ideal. But if you have the guy in the PUP, then they don't count against the roster spot, right? So you could hold another receiver, which might be the enticement there. If you think somebody's going to take, like, let's say 4 weeks to come back, we'll say, okay, well, we'll come back in 7, I believe, if I'm not mistaken there, but we'll keep another receiver, right? Without having to drop them and then re-sign them and go through waivers. So I think everyone you said is probably my options. I'm not going to go through it again with everyone's time. I just think there's one opportunity maybe for one of those 7th rounders to make the team. Because I think we got 1 7th rounder or 2 receivers in the 7th round.
I'm pretty
I do
sure
remember,
we
but
yeah.
um, I think they might have a chance to make the team if one person goes on the PUP. Otherwise, I think everyone you got there is right.
Yeah, I mean, didn't I forget if they mixed them up? I know we already talked about this before in like the last Pack Reacts episode. It was like they changed his position from wide receiver to CB or CB to wide receiver. I can't remember the top off my head of who it was, but that's like what the Packers were doing with the one guy. I can't remember the top name. I don't think he will get. I don't know about that dude, but I can't like remember him off the top of my head. But I definitely remember that I think they got two guys in the 7th round, if I'm correct, because they have Malik Taylor still, and they had Sammy Terrell. That's the guy I
Yeah,
was trying to think of.
Torrey is who I'm thinking about. They only
Yeah,
had one receiver in the 7th round. It
yeah.
was Torrey.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he has a chance to make it in theory. Obviously, I don't know much about him. I'm just kind of assuming, but it's possible that he makes the team.
Yeah.
But there's really not. I mean, we don't have a stacked receiver core, but there's not a lot of room for somebody else either without dropping one of those guys.
Exactly.
But obviously, we don't have a Devontae Adams on our team, so
Yeah.
someone's got to step up, or it's going to have to be Devontae Adams by committee, which
Yeah.
honestly is probably
I like that
not the
situation.
worst thing in the world. Yeah, because I really think we lost to the 49ers. A big reason because Rodgers was just too toned in on Devontae, and he couldn't go anywhere else. And it was just pretty sad. I was sitting there like, do we have any other receiver on this team? Come on. Like, I think if MVS played, we win that game.
I do too. I mean, if that's plus the AJ Dillon fumble.
No, yeah. If he doesn't get hurt.
And then was it Mercedes Lewis or that fumble recovery? I can't remember off the top. I remember the one where
I don't think did Dillon fumble? I thought it was Mercedes Lewis.
That was Mercedes Lewis, I believe. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to. Was it? I'm trying to think. Didn't AJ or Aaron fumble during the game, or was it Aaron like he run
AJ
down?
Got hurt.
Okay, if that's what it was. Yeah.
If AJ didn't get hurt, I think they win that game.
Yeah, and then
if Mercedes Lewis didn't fumble, I think they win the game.
If Aaron Jones ran down the field, we would have won the game.
Well, yeah, if he didn't stop. That was. I love Aaron Jones, but I don't know why he stopped there. I don't understand.
That was stupid. That was completely stupid.
He defended it afterwards too, saying it was the right move, but I don't think so. No. I think you just keep running, and then hopefully the guy doesn't stop you. And if he does, you get stopped at the 1 compared to the 10 or wherever he got stopped. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to our last topic here, folks. As we already mentioned, the Bakhtiari injury. He's been going through the pain. I believe, I don't know if you believe this, I think as I've watched with Tom Grossi, he's mentioned that this player has cost the Packers 2 Super Bowls of chances of winning it all because of how much pressure from the left side. Like, yes, we've been solid our offensive line, but there have been times where without David Bakhtiari's injury, you haven't had a strong offensive line, a great push. Like, if you want to go back to a highlight of David Bakhtiari, you can go back to the Aaron Jones run touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles during the COVID season when Bakhtiari is really running down the field like a jaguar. If you want to watch that meme of him running and beating Aaron Jones in like a 40-yard dash, basically. But yeah.
So what's the question?
Dave
thoughts on it?
Yeah, your thoughts on it.
In terms of expectations, I'll mirror what Matt LaFleur said. I'm just trying not to have any expectations. I mean, at this point, it kind of is what it is. We're not going to fix it. I hope he gets back to full speed. Otherwise, his contract is a big issue. Like, you just gave the bag to somebody who's not going to play at all. Is effectively kind of, signed that contract the second half of the, the 2020 season, right?
Yeah.
And then he got hurt a few weeks later. So he really hasn't played much on that new contract. Obviously not his fault. It's just bad timing. But, to lock yourself into that kind of money and have somebody who can never play again, that's, not good for the Packers. But I don't think that's the case. It doesn't sound that way. But then again, no one ever thought it was going to get to this point either. So do we really trust anyone at this point?
Exactly.
That's the question. And I think even they don't know what they're talking about. Not that they don't know what they're talking about. I just don't think
they don't know what's going to happen.
All exactly. It's not that no one knows what they're talking about. It just kind of depends on how his body reacts.
Exactly.
And so far, it hasn't been good. So
it
sounds like it's getting better, but we've kind of heard this story before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of don't want to count my chickens before they hatch because we got all excited last year. He's coming back and it's pretty short lived. So
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, you saw that post, I believe it was yesterday. He posted like, "I'm coming back soon," and then you see Packers fan Big B up there says like, When you coming back? Is that real? What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're just trying to hype people up because,
Yeah.
people were starting to get a little bit jumping to conclude. That's why I'm not jumping to conclusions either way.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's not my money if I gave them my money, even though now we are owners of the Packers, so it is our money actually. But no. But what do you call it? Obviously I want to back. He's the best lineman in the league, if
Yep.
not obviously on our team, also in the league, I would say.
Yep.
And he's Rodgers' best friend.
Yep.
It would obviously help the offense and just the team morale overall, improve that. So let's hope he comes back, but
Yep.
I don't want to jinx it, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping he gets back and gets rightfully. We don't rush it. Like, I know we didn't rush it last year, but like there have been the comments from the like trollers of saying like, he just be cut? He's wasting our money. He's like not going to be himself when he comes back. Like the media haters can like talk all they want, but when he comes on that field, he'll be showing his true self, and he will be on that field like performing his eliteness and being that number one guy again.
So sorry, you just caught me today. I've been thinking about this, and I haven't had
Yeah.
an outlet to say this. So the people that are saying to cut him or trade him make no sense to me, right?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Like, and everyone broadcasts this because those people like are just kind of dumb. Like, there's no kind of way around it. Because one, if you cut him, right, how does that help you? Because now all the dead cap gets accelerated, and you're screwed on the cap right now. Exactly. So, maybe you get away from some of this non-guaranteed money, but all the guaranteed money gets accelerated to right now will be in cap hell.
Yeah.
And one, you piss off Rodgers, right? Because you just cut his best friend.
Exactly.
Two, you probably piss off the rest of the team. But three, like, he is kind of adding to some, like, just development or just like talking to players and like giving them tips and being in the offensive line room, which has a lot of value to it. Now, not the value that he paid him, but that's already a sunk cost.
Yeah.
So at this point, just keep him. So one, you don't have that accelerated cap hit, right?
Yeah.
And two, you get some benefit there. Okay, that's what cutting him, right? Cutting him makes absolutely no sense. It's not even possible to cut him, right? So you can't do that. Two, trade him, right? Who's going to trade for him, right? The Packers aren't trading him unless he can't play, right?
Yeah.
And like, you take him from me. This guy's not going to play either. But at that point, like, you're admitting that that's the case, right? And who's going to trade for him? Who's going to take on that contract?
Yeah.
And do something of value if the guy can't play?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a good lineman if he can play. If he can't play, then he has no value, right? Other than being a nice guy. So no one's going to trade him. So like that conversation made no sense. Like, you can't just. This is not Madden where I shut off the other person. Like, you need to have a two-way street here. Like, no one's going to trade for him. There's no way there's a trade because if he's healthy, the Packers aren't trading him. If he's not healthy, no other team's trading for him. So it's just, there's no conversation here. Just shut up, everybody.
I think it's just trying to be like a bunch of clickbait garbage, is what everyone's trying to keep it going. Like when they start with the Aaron Rodgers drama, I think the media is just trying to really just like find some way to put clickbait garbage on the Packers for some.
I don't think it's the media though. I think it's more like,
well, there's fans too. Yeah,
it's fans. I think it's like people like, well, what are we going to do here? Like, let's just trade him. Like, who's going to trade for him? Like, it's not as easy to say just trade him. Like,
yeah.
And there's no way you're going to call up a team and say, hey, we want to trade David Bakhtiari. Like, why? Is he hurt? I mean, obviously, is he still hurt? He's never going to play again? No, he's going to play. So why do you want to trade him? No, don't worry about that. Like, no one's that stupid. Maybe if, what do you call it? Bill O'Brien was still the general manager.
Yes.
He'll probably give you, what do you call it? Half the,
we'll
give you the stadium, the ownership of the stadium.
Exactly.
For Bakhtiari at that point. No, I'm just kidding. But no one's trading him. He's definitely not getting cut. So
no,
it's either he plays or he's just a good team player and or kind of a good bench guy.
Mm-hmm.
If he's hurt and can't play, I mean, that's just kind of the reality at this point. There's no getting away from the contract. So hopefully he plays and he's good. And if for some reason his knee doesn't hold up and he's done for good, which I hope isn't the case, but
Yep.
we're just gonna have to live with it. There's nothing else you could do at this point in my mind. Obviously, you wouldn't give him another contract, but you're probably never going to give him another contract anymore. This is it. So hopefully he comes back and shows his old play again. If not, then we kind of got screwed there.
Yeah,
is what it is.
I mean, I do want to say it's going to be better than Kyler Murray when the Cardinals are really trying to force him to stop playing video games and like watch film.
I think that's funny. Yeah. Well, I actually have a funny story about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a friend. He worked. He doesn't work there anymore, but he worked at another firm with another kid, and they were playing. I think it was. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Guess not. So he was playing Warzone, I believe, or no, maybe it was the other game, the game between Fortnite and Warzone during like COVID.
PUBG?
Maybe? No, it was the other game like that though.
Call of Duty.
No. It'll come to me. They had a stadium in it though. That's all I know. It was one of those games where you dropped and. I'll look it up. But anyway, I think it was Warzone though. I think that's what they were playing. But anyway, this kid went to Fordham University in the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
And Fordham has a football team, but they're not very good. But there's one player. Side note, that's Fordham is for people on the audience that don't know Fordham. Vince Lombardi got his start there as a coach. But anyway, I'm sorry, I want to look this up. So PUBG game, Fortnite like games, Apex Legends. That's it.
Oh,
you know that game? Apex
I know
Legends.
that. Yeah.
But I think it was Warzone they were playing. Anyway, so apparently, there's one player in the NFL that went to Fordham, Christian Kirk, I think.
Okay.
I think it was Christian Kirk.
He's with the Jaguars now.
Yes, but he was on Arizona.
Yeah.
So apparently, Christian Kirk. I just wanted to make sure I'm not speaking on the line here. No, sorry. So it wasn't him.
Oh.
Fordham, wide receiver, Cardinals. Chase Edmonds.
That's the running back.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was Chase Edmonds. So the running, sorry. So the running back, Chase Edmonds, went to Fordham. So my friend's friend who he worked with was friends with Chase Edmonds from Fordham, right? Okay. So Chase Edmonds and him would play Warzone sometimes. So my friend played the three of them. Guess who joins their game? Kyler Murray. So he was playing Warzone with Kyler Murray for a little bit. Now, obviously, all football players play video games. So
yeah,
it is what it is. It's just funny that this story is coming up because I do know that he was playing Warzone with these kids, Kyler Murray. And I think it was right before the game, if I remember correctly. It was like a few days before the game was happening. They weren't on a bye week or anything. I'm pretty sure about that. So I don't know. It was just a funny story. It doesn't really mean much, but it's interesting because I have a firsthand experience with him playing video games. That's really it. Not that I was there, but I believe it's true.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just crazy how much he's getting. That like 400. Like I don't think he deserves any of that money. I really don't. Like he doesn't like need that much money. He can get his right money, but he doesn't deserve that much money.
Yeah, it just seemed interesting because like you can write these things into contracts. Is it really enforceable? And I think that's what people were saying. Like, are they really going to enforce this? I don't know. But obviously, it's clear in their mind. I could just think about the conversations, like well, we need to give him this kind of money, but this guy doesn't. Study? So write that into the contract. Like I can just think about the conversations that are going on in the Cardinals front office. But I don't see how you even enforce that. Like. Yeah, you can log his time on the team iPad, which I'm sure they do. I'm sure they log the time that players are watching film in that. But how do you know he's not on his phone, doing something else? It says that he can't do that, but
Yeah.
like, what, are you gonna have his camera on and like do one of those like proctoring things when you do an online test and they make you put your camera on and like share their screen with them? Like, you're really gonna make him do that? Like, come on, like, there's really no way to police that, and it's probably just more to make him look bad than anything. Like, who leaked that to the media? Definitely not Kyler Murray. It's probably the team, right? That was probably the point of putting in the contract, to leak it to the media, and then make him like feel bad about it and like been put under pressure. So then it was forced to do it. That's really the only benefit I can see happening on the card. But it kind of looks bad on the Cardinals too, because it's almost like, make a decision. Is he worth the money or is he not? Like, you can't kind of be in the middle here where I'm giving him this money, but I also want an out in case, my fear of him not studying and being the best player he can be comes true. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. If he has a tendency not to do that, it just cut ties at that point, because what's really going to happen in the long run is what you're probably in the back of your mind. Just going to have to find somebody else. But
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right. Do you think that's a good wrap for us to end here?
Yeah, I think that's good. Do you want to talk about kind of our plans for future shows?
Sure. Let's see. Do we want to do one next week? Are you available to do one next week?
Yeah. I think we should say with Thursdays, maybe do like an hour show.
Okay.
Just keep everyone updated with training camp. Then when games start, preseason games, who really care, but during the regular season, maybe we do like a game recap or whatever.
Yeah. We can do that.
On Mondays or something. I was thinking.
Yeah.
We should really try to bring people on too. I know we keep saying this. We got to. I think I'm going to create a Twitter as well for this. So try to get some more outreach.
I did one on. I think I already showed you the Fanatic One app. Like, apparently, there's some sports fans that like to go on that, not that much, but I like try to create kind of a vibe for us. And then I might be setting up a Discord for us, because I know like Tom Grossi fans like to go on that. So I'll try and see if I can set one up for like us to have like for Packer Reacts, and then try to like post out like any fans want to come on, of Packer fans especially, but we're welcome to all NFL fans, but really Packer fans we like to have on.
Agree. All right, sounds good. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode, back in the swing of things. If anyone wants to join the show, I think our idea here is to get all Packers fans, whether or not you're a podcaster or just, I think kind of how we started was, one, we had some, friend Jeremy and I, both Packers fans, and wanted to talk about our, mutual interests.
Yep.
But before, having this conversation with Jeremy, I always like listen to other people and say, hey, it'd be great to have an outlet, and whether or not people listen, I don't really care. It's just kind of just a fun outlet to just talk about the team and just get your thoughts out there, even if it's to a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's funny. Do you follow Mr. Beast at all?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So he had 100 million subscribers today, and he was saying at the end of the stream about he was going through his subscriber list, right?
Yeah.
And for like 6 years, it was like a line like this. Now, a line like this it got up to like 1 million, right? But it was basically like this. In the beginning, for like years, it was like under 100, and it went to 1 million. But then you see it go like this, right? Yeah. But that one from like that going from this, it was like from 1 million to like 10 million to 11 million to, to all the way up to 100 million. So basically, what I'm saying is, for 7 years, he kind of was, flatline. So I don't really care if people listen. Hopefully, anyone wants to join. We don't care if you have anyone to listen to. We just kind of want people that love the Packers and want to, express their thoughts to us and to any of the audience. We just want to, include the fan base. So definitely feel free to reach out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you once again for tuning in on Pack Reacts. I appreciate it. Should we do where we can find us, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it.
All right. Guys, you know where to find me. You can find me on this channel. You can find me on YouTube. I'm at 181 subs. Let's get to 200 by the end of the year. That's the goal. We need 200 subs. That's what we're hoping for, because then we can grow like Mr. Beast and have 1,000 in the coming years. Let's keep it going. We want
100 million subs next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter mainly at Arvo15 in the little green box down there below. I haven't been putting out many memes recently because the football season hasn't been going on, but I got to get back into that. That's kind of like my hobby. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram as well. Titletown Memes. That's kind of my account. I don't post a ton on that, but yeah, mainly on here. Feel free to reach out. I have another user Arvo15. I haven't really posted on that, but mainly just find me here. You can either find me through Jeremy or on Twitter. Also on Reddit, same username. Yeah, that's basically it.
All right. Training camp's beginning. Let's hope this helps of seeing who's going to be the offensive line and the wide receivers is what I'm looking forward to. See it? Folks, as always, go, Pack, go.
Go Pack Go. Let's go.